Hi guys, ZCrazyG here, and well, here it is, the final part in my ranking of every CTR Nitro Fueled track from worst to best. In this last part, we'll be going over what I think are the top 10 best tracks in the game. Yes, this is a multiple part series with two other parts in which you will see my rankings from 34 to 21 and 20 to 11. I'm starting to wonder deep down if some of you are probably wanting to strangle me for my previous placements, but just again, to reiterate, this is all my own opinion. So please, especially with this video, if you want to share your top 10 favourite tracks in the comments, please by all means do. I would be very interested to see what other people's favourites are. So as not to drag this intro out any longer, let's get right into the number 10 spot with Twilight Tour. With the first Grand Prix and their first original track, Beenox had to prove themselves, and they did just that with Twilight Tour. Themed around not only the Egyptian but also the Arabian levels from Crash 3. This track has a lot of great visual variety with luscious night lighting, dark and shadowy temples and a really wonderfully colourful city. And that variety translates over to the level design, with the Egyptian area being more open and straight and the Arabian area being more narrower and winding. Yet it still flows very nicely, allowing you to maintain blue fire with ease. What else can I say? Beenox showed us all that they are more than capable of understanding what makes great track design. And I mean, it makes sense when you've got really well designed tracks like Papu's Pyramid to inspire you. This track is a great example of a well thought out kart racer track. It's got a nice variety in its layouts with tighter, narrow parts, wide, winding parts, a bit of both, along with really cleverly implemented shortcuts. And achieving all this in some very small space and short track length is some very impressive design. And Nitro Fueled's added visual detail really just gives it a lift. Cause to be honest, in the original, this track was very one-tone in its colour scheme, but now it's vibrant and alive, only making it better. Now, one thing I tend to find with Nitro Fueled is that sometimes the visuals can completely pass you by, simply because on some tracks you're going way too fast to even notice, let alone appreciate them. And I think that's certainly the case with Deepsea Driving. I've called this track Ruse Tubes on steroids before, and yeah, I would actually say that's a bit of an understatement. One of the many Nitro Kart tracks that I can appreciate so much more without that game's clunky controls, Deepsea Driving is just pure exhilarating fun. It's like the designers just said, how many USF pads do you want on this track? Yes. The only thing I'm kinda conflicted on are these propellers in the last tube. While I do find them annoying, they do kind of balance out the challenge considering the insane speeds people can achieve here. But it's still a fun, fast hell of a time. But just not as much of a good time as Oxide Station. I always feel like Oxide Station is underappreciated, but it truly is a great track, all things considered, even more so in Nitro Fueled. Not only is the presentation fantastic here, that detail of the music drowning out in the void of space is quality, but I love how much of a challenge Oxide Station is in Nitro Fueled, even to very seasoned players. Maintaining Sacred and Ultimate Sacred Fire is difficult due to the constantly alternating winding layout of the track, but overall it does make for some really fun and intense matches, especially online. And I think when done right, difficulty can be a good thing for a track, such as Hot Air Skyway for example. Once a classic, always a classic, Hot Air Skyway has remained a fan favourite for good reason. It's just a solid ass track that I think once again is just more suited to and benefits more from the new mechanics of Nitro Fueled. It flows wonderfully and again provides a good challenge to skilled players with a very tight winding design that makes maintaining USF a tense feat of talent. Not only that, but again the visual upgrade is awesome. I love this casino style it has, it just gives it more of a distinct visual tone, something that I find Nitro Fueled is consistently great at. Even if a track's theming can make absolutely no sense, like in Out of Time. Now, I do love the visuals here, this sort of barren, warped, dystopian setting, it's just kinda cool. And the track itself I find to be fantastic, with a lot of corners and some really subtly implemented shortcuts. It's a track I constantly want to keep getting better at, since it is challenging enough to make skilled players focus on trying to maintain USF, yet also simple enough that it can be just fun and casual to drive on as well. And I think if I keep coming back to a particular track to practice and hone my skills, that is a sign of a well done track. And I think that's very much the case with Cortex Castle. One of my favourites from the original, and yes, it is even better here. The angular 90-degree corners provide a great and balanced challenge to maintain high speeds. And it's a perfect track to practice the power turn on, which is a move that is essential in Nitro Fueled for maintaining high speeds around tight corners. Also, like Dragon Mines, it has to be one of the best visual upgrades from the original. There's so much more of a wider and more vibrant range of colour in this track, and the details and lighting are phenomenal. It's just a perfectly balanced and great looking track for me that really earns its place on the list. But sometimes tracks are just so good that I already know from the start where they'll be, just like Electron Avenue. Fucking hell guys, Electron Avenue is just so much fun. I find that it tends to be a lot of people's favourite track in this game, and honestly, I can understand why. It is amazing. The visuals and the sense of scale are incredible. The neon colours complement the fast-paced gameplay of this track so well. It is so smooth and fast, it's insane. It flows like a dream, and yet is still challenging with plenty of tight turns to throw you off when trying to maintain a high speed. And I think that's a great reminder of what a good track should be: smooth. And I think that's a great way to describe our number 2 pick, Clockwork Wampa. I would say it's my favourite track from the original Nitro cards, and it still is here. It has that same great balance in its challenge like Cortex Castle does, but the design is just so much more smooth and has a much better flow and pace. Maintaining USF on this track can be very tricky, yet very rewarding, and the visuals are just bang on. I love the gothic style of the castle and the clockwork mixed with Wampa Factory theming, and the great warm colours this track has. I know this might be a controversial choice putting this above Electron Avenue, but I just love Clockwork Wampa. I think it's great. But of course, we come back around to the number 1 spot, and if it wasn't obvious already, my taste in favourite tracks hasn't changed a whole lot. My favourite track, not only in the original CTR, but in Nitro Fueled as well, is Engine Labs. I still think it's perfectly designed, perfectly balanced, and perfectly fun, even more so in Nitro Fueled with its more speedy and fluent mechanics. It plays so smoothly, yet provides plenty of quickly alternating design elements in the layout to keep you on your toes, and the visuals are just perfect. It looks fantastic, it plays fantastic, and for me, it will always be hard to knock off its podium. It's just a perfect track to me. And well, that is it. Every single track in this game from worst to best. So, do you agree with my ranking or not? And if not, please do let me know how you would have done it in the comments below. I suppose as a little bonus, I will quickly talk about the Spyro circuit. Since I made this list before the Grand Prix started, this one unfortunately didn't make the cut. But based off what I have played, if I were to place it, it may be around the 13 to 16 spot, roughly around there, though it may still be too early to say. I do find the track visually stellar and deceptively challenging, which I kind of enjoy, though I do find the hazards to be more annoying than a good challenge to avoid. But again, it's one of those things where I really need to give it time and let it sink in before properly ranking it. But with that, I thank you all so much for watching this little series. Feel free to like and subscribe if you feel like it, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care, guys.